Hello there, and sorry I couldn't resist. If Mad Mike sees this, nothing personal, but actually I doubt he'll see this. But anyway, I want to talk about a movie I saw maybe 3 or 4 days ago. I hadn't seen a Die Hard movie since I was a kid. Like I had seen clips of them, and then one day I decided to go on Amazon Prime just to look at something, and on the recommendations is Die Hard with a Vengeance, and I watched this one first. First Die Hard movie I've seen since again I was a kid. And holy hell, was it a roller coaster ride! Like the opening was good, the characters are good. I liked how they used Samuel L. Jackson in this. I think I remember Jeremy Johns said because the thing that made me want to watch a Die Hard movie was I'd seen a few videos he did on the series, and I think before this he had just been known for being in I think Jurassic Park, like "Hang On to Your Butts" or something was a line he had. But yeah, it was fun. It's a fun movie. It's kind of crazy. I also like how it's kind of a revenge. Well, it's more like a story where you're seeing a guy suffer the hands of someone else's revenge, and it is a really almost juvenile kind of revenge. Like I remember Johns described this as hazing. I consider this no. This is trying to get someone killed. There's this guy. His name is Simon. He's a brother of the villain from the antagonist of the first Die Hard movie, and he wants revenge on McClane. And the first thing he does, and he says if McClane doesn't do it, he'll blow up another building. Is you have to? He says he has to stand in the middle of Harlem wearing a sign that says "I hate," and I can't say the next word because to give you some idea, it's the word that white guys are not supposed to say unless they have a death wish. No, and I don't mean like the awesome movie kind. Yeah, he makes him do that, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of hazing, but at the same time, it's like he's trying to get a fucker killed. Like, I've only used that word once in my life. I never used it again after I learned how to use it. Like, you learn pretty quick what happens if you use it. And yeah, there was that. He makes McClane and Zeus Carver, who's played by Samuel L. Jackson, run across New York, or else he'll blow up a school. And while this is going on, it turns out this is just a ruse to get money. By the way, spoiler alert. And there's actually a good joke where someone says the place they're robbing is like Fort Knox, and someone's like, "No, Fort Knox is for tourists." And I just thought it was. I also liked. I can't remember all the details in the movie, but I liked this whole thing of this more or less the people of the city coming together to work. Like you saw the FBI willing to work with the cops, although I think the cops might have been hesitant. I don't remember now. But what was the other one? You had some really good, funny stuff. Like I remember when Samuel Jackson's trying to talk McClane into going into his shop until the police arrive because he's worried he'll get killed. Because he knows if one white guy gets killed, more white cops are going to come into Harlem, probably looking for some payback. Well, as he's talking to him, one of the black gangsters that he's hoping that Carver was hoping wouldn't see the sign is like, "What the fuck?" And McClane gets a bottle upside the head. Carver gets slashed in the arm, and then he grabs the gun that was duct taped to McClane's back. And then they get into a cab and leave. And another thing is, Zeus Carver's kind of racist. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, I know that term gets thrown around now, like loosey-goosey, or just very loosely. More loose than a Hollywood starlet, oh no, maybe not a Hollywood starlet, maybe like the one slutting in the house. Anyway, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But he is kind of a racist against white people, which I'm kind of fine with because it's not like insufferable racism. Like, it's not BLM racism, it's just... I think John's made a joke of, you know how George Bush does not care about black people? Well, Zeus thinks of that the way about white people. That's more or less it. And it's kind of funny. And my favorite part was probably the chase when they steal a taxi and ride it through the city. And at one point, McClane drives it through a park. And I'm just like, the fuck? I love it. And then at one point, they haven't hit anyone. And then Zeus is like, "Are you trying to hit someone?" And he's like, "No, maybe that mime." And yeah, it's just, And McClane is probably my favorite part of this movie. Like, Zeus is another part of why I love it, but McClane is the main one because I'm like, okay, this guy's an asshole. This guy's like Nathan Drake if he was a cop and didn't have an interest in history. Which is kind of funny because I think I heard once, because I was doing some research on Nathan Drake, and I think I heard McClane was an influence on Nathan Drake. I don't remember for sure if that's accurate, but oh well. But yeah, he's like kind of dysfunctional in relationships, but he's a good cop. He's very good at his job. He's kind of a burnout, though. Oh, and remember when I said he had to wear that sign that says "I hate ends" on it? He also had to be in nothing but his underwear while he wore that sign, which is kind of funny. Like, that is the most deadly case of hazing I've ever seen. And yeah, just a fun movie. Actually, no, fuck it. I think I'm going to stop rating movies. Just say, watch this film. It's fun. There's no real political message in it. But then again, this was made in the 90s, so that's to be expected. It's from a time when Bruce Willis was still able to like give a shit about movies. I guess he's not so good at giving performances now, which is kind of surprising because I saw him in the Death Wish movie. I thought he was okay. The remake, not the old one. But yeah, there's that as a bonus. It has Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis work well in this movie. They both work well in this movie. And I think that's all I wanted to say. It's hard for me to remember now. I didn't write any of this down. I just like ran out of stuff I remembered from the movie. Oh, and it turns out the bomb. Oh, I will say this though. Another funny thing was it turns out the bomb that was in the school. It turns out it wasn't full of explosives. And it's like, and Willis is like, there was no bomb in the school, was there? Of course, I'm not a monster. So there's that, and him and his German buddies almost get away with it. And it feels like it was almost written to where, well, this is something I'm borrowing from Jeremy Johns, but it feels like it was written to where Simon Gruber was supposed to get away with it. I would have been fine with that, to be perfectly honest. That would have been a funny ending. But then again, you wouldn't have been able to add the whole yippee-ki-yay motherfucker in it, because I think that doesn't get said till the ending after they find him after he got away. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. It's just an awesome movie. If anyone's seen it already, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, it's kind of just it's weirdly funny. It's kind of like I don't have a word for it. To me, it was weirdly funny. I don't know. I have a weird sense of humor, so some people may have also been funny, but there were certain things that I was laughing at. Like, okay, this probably shouldn't be funny, but I do find it funny. Anyway, that's the video. Have a nice day, and remember the game was rigged from the start.